Welcome to the American Nomad Podcast, hosted by the legend himself, or as I refer to him, the legend in his own mind, Rav Holly.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Monday show. I am the American Nomad, Rav Holly. Thanks for joining me. We're on beat camera here to get things started. I'd had this echo. I was complaining about the echo the last show, and I thought I had it all taken care of, and it's back. I just spent hours trying to get the echo fixed that I had in the last show. Anyway, we got one viewer, it looks like. Welcome to the Monday show. I am the American Nomad, Rav Holly. On today's show, we're going to be discussing the brand new trailer or sneak peek that just came out for the new indie movie called Nomadland, starring Frances McDormand, from Fargo. Anybody remember Fargo? She was the cop in Fargo, which was a great movie. Coen Brothers, great movie. So I have high hopes for this movie. But anyway, we're going to discuss that today. A couple of LA sheriff's deputies that were actually transit police. They basically are stationed. They work for the metro, more or less. The train that runs here in LA was shot a couple of nights ago on Saturday night. That's a mess, so we're going to be discussing that as well. Wanted to make Nomadland the topic, see if we can keep from getting demonetized for YouTube today. It's a little bit more PC correct. But anyway, without further ado, let's get this party started. Hopefully we got some sound today. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully. Anyway, so this new movie, I'd actually heard about it. They were actually filming out at RTR when I was at RTR. I wasn't exactly sure what they were doing. I think I saw them at Schoolie Palooza as well. Wasn't exactly sure what they were doing. I actually thought it was a, oh my God, this echo drives me crazy. I actually thought it was, I thought they were filming like a news spot for maybe a PBS special or something like that. And then later on, I found out that it was like a movie, an indie movie. So that was interesting. And come to find out, that's exactly what it was. You see film crews out around RTR from time to time. So that's actually nothing really new. And then there's tons of YouTubers. So you always see the YouTubers and, yeah, but you don't really see like film crews out there. You just see a lot of YouTubers. There's a lot of major YouTubers that are nomads that attend the RTR. So like I said, it wasn't that big a surprise to be seeing a camera crew moving around. And I know not this last RTR, but the RTR before in 2019, I know Art Van Gro and her whole group were being filmed by what I do believe was a PBS documentary type film crew. And they ended up having like a falling out with that film crew and stuff. And they weren't too happy about it. So it kind of became like a drama thing. What is going on, Random Nomad? Oh, dang. Thanks, YouTube. I missed that start. Hey, Rav, what's going on? Hey, what's going on, Random Nomad? No worries, buddy. No worries. I'm not really promoting on Facebook that much anymore. I don't think it does that. I don't think it does that good a job. I am trying something different here today with this new A camera. I've actually got it set on autofocus because this camera is supposed to be really good at autofocusing. So I'm a little leery of that because anybody in the film industry knows we always just manual focus because you can't really trust the camera to autofocus. But we're going to try it and see what happens because sometimes I want to show you guys stuff like on my phone or something. And if I hold my phone up, then it's all blurry. But then if I push in, you know, it should be able to, the camera should be able to focus on it for you guys. So we're going to try the autofocus this show. If it loses my face and I get all blurry, that's the reason we're on autofocus. First time I've done autofocus. Hey, Amy Preston. Hi, Raph. Got a little echo going on, but not bad. Volume is low too. I have to turn mine way up to hear you. Oh my God. Okay. Let's see. I spent 3 hours today, 4 hours trying to get this sound right, but evidently I'm throw the towel in on the sound. I'm about ready to give up on it. Now I've got a huge echo now, but I was trying to get rid of my echo, is why I turned everything down. Let me know if you guys can hear me better now. Let me see if I can turn the desktop sound up here. Yeah, I've got a huge echo. I don't know what's going on. I've tried to figure it out. It's happened since I've started using this new studio, the new streaming. Sounds going to be the dead. It really is. I mean, literally the. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm so sick of the sound. You got an echo there too? Yeah, I have an echo. I don't know, man. I've tried to figure it out. It's this new mixing board that I spent $400 on that's supposed to, you know, be the best. And I never had echo. I never had these kind of problems with the old board. Should have just stayed with what I had. The volume's better. Yeah, I turned everything way up. I can't figure out what is causing this echo. I've got it in my ears too. It drives me nuts. The only way I can get rid of it is if I turn everything down, but then it turns it down for you guys as well. I can't figure out what it is. It's driving me crazy. Volume is better. Okay, good. Good to hear that. Yeah, for me, if I turn the volume down to a certain extent, I get rid of the echo. But then I guess I didn't know if the volume, if it adjusted it for you guys as well. Let's see here. But I've got a horrible echo here. I mean, it's horrible in my ears. I don't know how bad it is for you guys, but it's horrible in my ears. Okay, there we go. I've turned the volume up now on the mic. Should be a little bit better. If I turn my main volume down, the echo just stopped. Okay, great. Yeah, I think it stopped for me as well a lot. Yeah, I'm ready to, this new Zoom L8. I'm ready to punt this thing across the parking lot. I'm sick of it. Like everything I bought it for, nothing works on it. Everything I bought it for, nothing works on it. I can't get anything that I bought it for to work. All of the things I wanted it for, it just doesn't work. I can't get it to work. I've tried and tried and tried. And then when I mess around with it, trying to get those things to work, and I have to do the podcast, then I have an echo, or I've screwed something up to where, you know, nothing works. It doesn't work properly for the podcast. So yeah, I'm literally ready to just yank the thing out and just literally just smash it. I wish I'd have never left, my old Yamaha. It was an old mixing board, but it worked fine. I had no real problems with it. But there's an old saying, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. But like I said, this one's got like a built-in phone jack, so you can plug your phone in. So I wanted to do phone interviews and stuff if somebody wanted to call into the show. It doesn't work. I can't get it to work. So I need to get a hold of Zoom and, talk to them. Random Nomad says, all good, no echo on my end. Well, that's good to hear, Random Nomad. Glad to hear that. I think I've got it a little bit better where it's not echoing so bad on my end now as well. At least we do have some volume. The last two shows I've started with, there's no volume at all, or no sound. But anyway, so I was actually, this new movie that has come out, Nomadland, it was actually pointed out to me. I'd actually forgot about it. I'd heard about it at RTR because they were filming out there. And then I basically forgot all about it. And then somebody mentioned it in the comments. I would give a shout out to them. I don't remember exactly who it was. Let's see if I can get into the video here. I should have wrote it down. But anyway, on one of my videos, let's see if I can look on my phone. I bet I can look at my phone and find it quicker. Somebody actually gave a shout out, or actually asked about, and said that it looked like it was filmed at RTR, and there's only a couple of major celebrities. It's an indie film, so it's a small production, but I'm very interested to see what this is about. I guess it was a book originally. Originally, it was a book, and then a director wrote a screenplay for it, and they've turned it into a movie. So it'll be really interesting to me to see what kind of, how they're going to portray the nomad community. I mean, that's always can be it's always a hit or miss when Hollywood tries to do something that's that's something that we have. We actually have real experience of it. So it's going to be interesting to see if it's a bunch of hoopla, or if there's a lot added to it, or if it, if they actually hit the mark. So it'll be interesting to see. Can't find the comment. I see Freedom Dove's comments. I see Random Nomad's comments. But I don't see who it was that made the comment about the movie that's coming out. Anyway, I wish I'd have wrote it down. I like to give people props, when they bring something to my attention. Trav, man, what is going on, buddy? Thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. It's good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, buddy. And my taste buds and smell have not returned. They're still about the same. Probably about 30-35% of what they used to be. Never returned, and unfortunately now all of my hair has fallen out in like the last 4 or 5 months. So yeah, COVID did me wrong. A lot of people didn't have too many side effects from it. And I'm convinced now that I really do believe that it's a genetics thing. I think COVID, I think it affects people differently depending on your genetic makeup, like, or your ethnicity, like white people versus Asian people versus, Native American people versus Hispanic people versus black people. I think it's really, I think white people are a lot more immune to it. Not saying you are immune to it. I just don't think white people or Anglo-Saxons get as sick from it as much as other ethnicities. Most of you don't know, like the Navajo Nation has been ravaged by COVID. I mean, ravaged. Native Americans have a really hard time with it. But then you look at China, who had a really hard time with it. And then you look at Japan. Japan, they're both Asian, and Japan didn't have any problem with it at all. So who knows? My personal opinion, your voice is different too. Yeah, you think so, Amy? Could be. Definitely could be. Random Nomad, yeah, I had it, and all I got is a rash. You just got a rash, Random Nomad? Yeah, I heard some people getting rashes from it. I had all kinds of side effects, and I'm still dealing with side effects. And the main thing I'm dealing with is my hair falling out. I mean, my hair, like all of it, is like probably 60% of my hair is falling out. And a Random Nomad, Trav, man, just to let you know, we're working on a different platform now. I'm using the YouTube streaming with streaming through OBS. So I don't have the old software that I used to do my little super chat thing for you guys. When you would give me a super chat or a donation, I'd put like the little money icon down there and thank you guys with a scrolling thing. I don't have that anymore at this time. So we got a different camera now running the show. So it's things have changed a little bit, even though it still looks the same. I had a couple of new lights coming today. It says they're on the FedEx truck. I expected them to be here, but they didn't show up in time for the show. They're still not here. So probably they'll be tomorrow. It said they were on the truck for delivery today, but they didn't get here. Joel P., what is going on, buddy? Backache, either COVID of this schooly build. Backache, either COVID of the schooly build. Yeah, I know you're building your schoolie out. You have a backache from COVID, you said, or you don't know? I can tell you everything that I've had happen in my life, my broken finger, my dislocated broken shoulder from a motorcycle wreck, that stuff, like my finger feels jammed. Like I wasn't really having any problems with my finger, even though I broke it. And I severely broke it like 3 or 4 years ago. Had a hard time with it finally getting back to normal. But it had gotten back to normal. My shoulder was back to normal. I had no shoulder pain. But after COVID, I have nothing but shoulder. It's almost like you re-injure. I've re-injured those old injuries. I mean, it's not as bad as it was when it happened, but it's like it feels like it's on the healing end, like the 70% healing. But they are now bothersome. Like my finger's bothersome, my shoulder's really bad. I can't sleep very long on this side of my shoulder. The backache is either from COVID or the school. Oh, I got you, Joe P. It's probably from that schoolie build, buddy. But it could be from COVID because I definitely have a lot of body aches. It feels, I think it feels probably more what I think people talk about arthritis. And I've never had arthritis, so I didn't really know what it is. But it sure came on after COVID. And I think it probably feels more like arthritis. But anyway, back to Nomadland. I'm excited to see this. Has anybody else heard about it? So a new trailer just came out. It's about a minute long, and it's not even really a trailer. It's just the leading actress walking through RTR, which is, and it looks like, they filmed out there at RTR. So it's actually, the production value is real because they filmed at RTR. So I do respect that from it. So I'm really interested in seeing it. I can't wait to see the storyline. I actually went and there's an interview that was done with the director and the writer and the leading actress. So I went in and watched that with Frances McDormand, and the director who wrote it is an Asian girl, and I can't remember her name. I ended up following him on Twitter. So I think it's funny though when we're following into the Nomad thing is following into the mainstream. That's when, for me, that's kind of when things lose its luster though. We were talking about MMA like a couple of weeks ago, and I said, yeah, I still watch MMA. I'm still somewhat involved a little bit, but maybe, like this much when I used to be all in. Now, I talked to my old roommate, Razor Rob McCullough, who used to be the WC lightweight champion. I talked to him maybe once or twice every 3 or 4 months. We used to be roommates in Huntington Beach. I used to be in the gym every day. If I wasn't taking pictures, I was always around the gym. I would be going to the fights in Vegas all the time and just living that life. I was working in it and I was embedded in that lifestyle. And then once it went mainstream and everybody, my favorite thing is when MMA kind of lost its luster for me is when I was sitting in a bar by myself one night, just having a beer, thinking about my own things, like sometimes you do, just sitting at the beer, contemplating life. And this guy comes in, sits down next to me, starts up a conversation, and starts talking about, he just randomly starts talking about MMA. And I just kind of listened to him, wanted to hear what he had to say, and he starts schooling me about all of these fighters and what they do and who this person is and who that person is. And, this person is his favorite fighter, and this is what the divisions are. And the funniest thing about it is some of the people he was talking about, Jose Aldo, he was talking about Josh Thompson, the punk Josh Thompson. I've met all these guys in person. I've photographed Jose Aldo for MMA Junkie back in 2007 when he was just coming into the WEC. So it was funny to listen to somebody trying to school me on something that I used to try to explain to people in bars what it was, because they had no idea what MMA was back in 2006, 2007. I'd go into a bar and people would ask me what I do, and I'd say, well, I work in this new mixed martial arts industry. And they're like, what is that? Oh, you mean like the human cockfighting stuff. So, I grew with MMA through all of that, and then when it came, all we wanted was for it to become mainstream, and then when it became mainstream, it lost its luster for me. So weird. Joe P says, I am painting now. Oh, nice, Joe P. Random Nomad says, but weather and barometric pressure. Oh, yeah, so that messes with your, I hear some people have, that'll mess with your arthritis and stuff. My grandmother used to watch she had a meter or something, or I can't remember what she had, like a thermometer or something that talked about the barometric pressure. Also, if it's fit for fishing, people that are really into fishing, if it's rising or if it's falling, I can't remember, if the pressure's going up, it's good fishing, and if it's going down, it's not good fishing. Amy Preston says, my brother was a judo teacher for decades. Ooh, yeah, judo is a great art. I know Carl Parisian very well. Carl's a good friend, used to be a good friend of mine. Him and I got into it one time at the Vegas airport when I went to pick him up, and he couldn't find me, but he was the first person in the UFC that was a judo practitioner. Later on, you got Ronda Rousey in women's MMA that kind of made judo famous in MMA, but long before Ronda Rousey, you had Carl Parisian, and he used to flip them guys on their head with judo. I have a lot of respect for judo. Judo's the one, it's the one martial art where you can literally be standing there and clinched up with somebody, and the next thing you know, your feet go over your head and you land on your head. Royce Gracie, yep. Yeah, all the Gracies. That's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're all famous MMA practitioners, mostly because of their Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That family perfected the art of Jiu-Jitsu. And the Gracies, a lot of the Gracies have schools, several schools all over the United States, and they still teach Jiu-Jitsu on a daily basis. Anyways, anybody heard of this new movie that came out, Nomadland? I'm excited to see what it is. Excited to see what it's about. I know Frances McDormand. Am I saying her name right? McDormand? Frances McDormand. She was great in Fargo. I don't remember ever really seeing her before Fargo, but seeing her in Fargo, she was amazing. So I'm excited to see what she does here with this role. I looked at the Twitter account for the film. It's called Nomad Nation or Nomadland Film, and there's a lot of people that have said they've seen it like in sneak peeks and stuff, and sounds like they love the movie. So I'm excited to see what it is. Travman, nope, haven't heard of that movie yet. Yep. Hey Matilda, what is going on? You hadn't heard of it until now. Good. I'm glad I broke something for you guys. Yeah, and again, it was one of my commenters that brought it to my attention. Like I said, I'd heard about it when it was kind of in pre-production or when they were filming it, and then hadn't really heard anything else about it. So it's a small indie. I guess it did very well at some of the art or some of the film festivals like Telluride and some of the other ones. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. And we'll talk about it more after it actually hits the theaters. I guess I don't know if it's going to go into limited release. That's what I'm probably expecting. It'll go in limited release, which means it'll be at a few theaters. I don't think it's going to make a national release. It will be cool if it does. It'll probably be in major cities like New York, Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas, maybe Phoenix, Atlanta. Hopefully, we'll see. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. If nothing else, we'll probably after it does its movie release, it'll probably be on one of the streaming services like Netflix or who knows, maybe even YouTube. Random Nomad says, I'm not a fan of Fargo because of that movie. Now everybody think we And we all talk like they do if you're from Minnesota. Minnesota. Well, some of you do talk like that, random nomad, like you're from Minnesota. But yeah. But Fargo's North Dakota. But it's Moorhead. We had that discussion, I think, the last podcast. Matilda says, random nomad, you mean they don't? Well, everybody thinks if you're from Texas, you talk like, that you have that twang that, a lot of people do. My brother, I just talked to my brother. Today's his birthday. Happy birthday, Wes. He said he had a 750-pound Brahma steer just get out, or bull. Might have been a bull. I don't remember. I think he said it was a steer. But he had to track him down and rope him and get him loaded in a trailer and get him back to the ranch. Because he's shipping him out in the morning. Cattle's going to be shipping in the morning, so he's a typical cowboy working on his birthday, like it's just another day. Travman says, "Yeah, they like to say we talk different from Minnesota, and we don't. A lot of us going to anyway. I've never said yeah. Sure you betcha. That's true." I don't remember people in Minnesota really having that twang, but Wisconsin, that's different. Are you in Wisconsin, Trav man? Because in Wisconsin they do, especially up around Green Bay and Appleton, Oshkosh. They have that. A lot of people up there, especially around Green Bay, they really do have that that funny. Oh golly gee. Think the Packers are going to be very good this year? Oh golly. I heard a lot of that. I'd go into like little restaurants and stuff down by Green Bay and Appleton. Yeah, I'd go into these little hole in the wall diners, and I would just be amused just sitting there listening to people talk. I'm sure the same goes for, when certain people like from California or New York, or New York's the same way. If you go to Boston's got their own accent too. So, I've heard Boston accents so thick when I was in Boston that I would continuously have to go, huh? Oh, what? What did you say? Because I could not understand because their accent would be so thick with that heavy Boston accent. And then you get to Texas and then, everybody's talking about, yeah, we're going to go out here on a back 40 and fix this fence. A cattle done run through the fence and tore the fence up. We're going to go out to fix the fence. And I know a ton of people that talk just like that. So you can't say they don't. And I still have a Texas twang, but being in California as long as I have, it's not near as bad as it used to be. And then I moved to Dallas from where I grew up. So people in Dallas don't have it as much. Random Nomad says, phone is buffering in my work back room. The South Boston accent is hard. Yeah, the South Boston accent, Matilda. But it's funny how different places in the country we have these different accents. It is fun. It is funny. And then Canada, they've got their own accent. But it's funny how just in the country that we all have these different accents. So anyway, I think that's enough about Nomadland. Looking forward to seeing it. I think being a nomad, going on 4 years now, it'll be interesting to see how they portray it. And plus, I've worked in the film industry since 2009, so I know how these things are put together. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of storyline, if it's based in reality or if it's all really made up. A lot of times when Hollywood tries to do a story on something that's real, they make it so dramatic that it's when somebody that's actually doing it watches, it's like that's not even reality. It's not even real life. So it'll be interesting. It being an indie film, there's a good possibility it'll be pretty good. I'm sure the story will be. My only worry is that the movie makes everybody look destitute, like we're all just You know, like I think the book was called Nomadland, Surviving in America Today, or something like that. Like, you know, everybody that's living in a van is destitute, and they all got evicted from their houses, and you know, they were all lawyers in a past life, and you know, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and now all of a sudden, because of the downturn in America, we're all living in vehicles, and we're barely surviving. You know, if that's the angle they took, that's really going to turn me off. So it'll be homeless, basically. Amy Preston, you nailed it. We're all just homeless people living in vehicles because we can't afford a dwelling. So that'll be it'll be interesting if that's the angle that they took on this. Hopefully they didn't. I'm hoping they didn't, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. You know, Bob Wells is kind of the guru, or kind of he is the van life guru, and with his cheap RV living, he promotes that a lot. That you know, people that no longer can afford, you know, to live in the sticks and bricks have found themselves stuck living in a vehicle, and that does happen. It does happen. But if you go to like RTR, you'll find that 70 to 80% of the people are living in vehicles by choice, because we are truly nomadic. I gotta grab my drink. I set it off to the side because I didn't think I was gonna need it. But yeah, and that's another thing that I was going to talk about is what you'll find is I'm going to do like my spoken word podcast. And what I'm going to be talking about is how a lot of people think they're nomadic. And what we're finding out now, or what I'm really finding out now, is most people aren't nomadic. They think they're nomadic. They go on a vacation to Hawaii, or they go on a vacation somewhere, and they just love the travel, and they think that's what it's going to be about, and everything's going to be the freedom of it, the nomadic lifestyle. And what you find is most of them will be longing for home within a few years. What is going on? Driving home. My throat's all dry. What's going on driving home, Lamont? Good to see you, buddy. Badge, everybody needs one. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Only people that call us homeless is because they never done it. I'm not nomadic. It is my life. Exactly. That's exactly. A lot of people actually thrive in it. My throat got really dry. Driving home, Lamont, I consider myself a vehicle dweller. Good to see you too. Good to see you, Lamont. Good to see you, Badge. Great to see you guys. Yeah, a lot of us, I consider myself a vehicle dweller, but I truly feel like I am nomadic. I think a lot of people think they're nomadic, and then they start vehicle dwelling, and then they start longing for home. That's why you see so many right now. So many of the YouTubers, so many of the YouTube nomadic community, they're all planting roots. They're all getting back into sticks and bricks. Houseless, not homeless. Exactly, Random Nomad. Yep, my home, don't care where I park it. Yep. I have, the old saying, home is where you park it. That's basically what we live by. Good to see all you guys. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this Nomadland, what it has in store for if we have to shun it. There's nothing like having a live broadcast, and my throat is, it's not Corona. I don't know what it is. All of a sudden my throat just got really dry from, I guess I was talking too much. Amy Preston says, yeah, I wander between family houses because they are scattered all over the country. I wonder what happened to Eve, my buddy Eve. I actually know her in person. English Bulldogs. I haven't seen her in the last few podcasts, but I know she just got a van, so she's really doing it now. She'd been looking at it, and now she just bought her a van, and she's really doing it. Trav, man, I think the Nomad community on YouTube is 100 times better than any movie could portray. Yeah, I agree. I agree. But it's amazing how many of it doesn't rub me the wrong way. I just think it's funny how many of these people that have jumped into van life. You know, you have like Just Incredible up in Canada. He has been doing van life for 15 years. You know what I mean? He's nomadic. That's what he likes, living like that. He doesn't leave he doesn't leave Vancouver, but he's been living in a van in Vancouver for 15 years. But then you have a lot of these good-looking couples. They decide they want to jump into van life. They get them a van. They travel around, do YouTube, grow a huge following on YouTube. 50, 60, 100,000 subscribers, making a living off YouTube, but realize that YouTube is work. YouTube is a lot of work. And living van life it's not all rainbows and it's not all rainbows and unicorns. And they, within a couple of years, a year, 2 years, they fall right out of it. And then you have us like me and Badge and other guys like Badge is on YouTube. You have us on YouTube, and we're scrounging just to get to 10,000 subscribers. And we're real van lifers. Amy Preston says, my family loves to see and hear where I have been when I visit. My kids and sister worry, but I'm good. Yep. That's a great thing about traveling around, is being in different places. That's always been my goal, that was always my goal, is to get this YouTube thing to a place where I could actually get out and roam continuously as well. But it's just never gotten there for me, so I have to stay stuck in LA. But at this point, that's the other thing I was going to talk about, is I am looking at different places. And I may end up, what I'm looking at as far as different places is I'm looking at commercial properties. I would like to have like a big shop that I could work on my truck, do those kinds of things, and to have like a little base that I could do the podcast out of, but I could also travel out and do the podcast. There's nothing wrong with having a home base. Camper Van Kevin used to have a home base, and he ended up selling it. And I've heard through the grapevine, I don't know personally that he said this, but I've heard that he regretted it. Joe P says, we were on the road for 2 years before we started to YouTube. Yeah, exactly. How long have you been on the road now, Joe P? Or how long have you been doing van life? You're 4 years, right? 4 or 5 years? Nevada has cheap land. Yep, Nevada, Arizona has cheap land too. You can find cheap land here in California up in the Mojave Desert around Joshua Tree and 29 Palms. There's super cheap land up there, but you can't do anything on it without a million permits. The permits get expensive really quick. I looked at doing a container home in Joshua Tree, buying 5 acres of land, doing a container home up there. When I first moved out to Joshua Tree, that was my goal. And then I talked to somebody that was doing a container home, and they ended up doing a YouTube video about the construction or the building of their container home. And this wasn't even a big, extravagant container home. I think it was 3 or 4 containers, maybe 1 or 2 40-foot and then 2 20-foot containers. And they were over $100,000 in permits before they ever set a container. So that's California. That's why you got to look at Texas, Arizona, Nevada, someplace like that. That's let you do with your land whatever you want to do with it without so many restrictions and permits. Because California, it's the desert. It's the freaking Mojave Desert, and they act like you're in the middle of LA. Here's something I found out a few years ago in Riverside, which is not LA, Riverside County. A buddy of mine, he had the hot water heater went out in his house. So in Texas, if the hot water heater goes out, you just go to Home Depot, you buy a new hot water heater, you take it home, and if you know how to install a hot water heater, you just put a new hot water heater in, right? If your hot water heater goes out. If it's an element or something like that, you can replace the element. But like if a lot of times the bottom will rust out of a hot water heater and it loses all of its water, and then you got to replace it. My buddy, his hot water heater went out, and he had to submit a permit and get a permit from the city of Riverside so he could replace his water heater. And I think the permit was like, I don't know, it was $100, $200 or something like that. Unbelievable. Bad says, we're not really nomads. We just outrun the snow if we can. Yeah, just outrun the snow if we can. Well, I think when it comes to nomads, like I actually feel like I am nomadic because I actually I get depressed and get I don't know what I don't like being tied in one place. I start feeling stuck. I was married for a long time, had a house in Dallas, lived in the house for 18 years, and it was tough for me to stay like that. I like to move around. Even if it's just in LA, I like to be able to go to one part of the city, stay there, move around, and just move around. Yeah. I mean, if you think about the Native Americans, especially like the Comanche and the Apache of Texas, they moved around constantly. They moved with the buffalo herds. They picked up their teepees and they moved them as the buffalo moved. So there's a lot of people, like they're not nomadic anymore, and that's got to be tough for them. But the next thing I was going to talk about is, so I've been looking around, and I wouldn't mind. I want to get out of LA, but I don't know where I want to go. But I kind of want to do like a smaller city. So, but what I'm looking for is if I do a home base, I want to have like a commercial building. So like a little small warehouse. But I found 2 of these places in Tucson, which is funny, because that was a city that I kind of looked at, because I want to be like in a smaller city. I don't want to be in like a Houston or like a big city. I've looked at Austin. Austin is not much cheaper than LA these days. Get so many Californians moving there. The prices have shot up. But I found one of these in El Paso. I found a couple of them in Tucson. And basically what it is, it's a warehouse, a small warehouse with like a build out of like an apartment in the warehouse. So like one of them in Tucson, I could have pulled my truck in there. It had like a 14-foot door. So I could pull my Snap-on truck in there and actually work on it inside. And then I could build out a podcast studio and then build my truck out to a point where I could get it ready to be roadworthy, where I could put a podcast studio in my truck and then stay out on the road. But I don't want something that's going to be $2,000 or $3,000 a month in overhead, if that makes sense. So I'm looking at something just small and cheap, $600, $700, $800 a month. So if I leave it and I'm not there for 2 or 3 months, it's not that big a deal. Austin is buku. Yeah, Austin is super expensive. So I'm kind of looking around. Like I said, I just found a couple in El Paso, which I spent some time in El Paso when I was out on the road the last time. I stayed in Austin. I stayed in El Paso. I stayed in Tucson. I stayed in Santa Fe. Those are all towns I'm pretty familiar with, but I never spent any time really in El Paso, and I never spent any time in Tucson. And I liked both of those little cities. El Paso has really came up in the last few years. I was there right at Christmas time, and it was great. I mean, there's still some pretty rough parts of El Paso, but I parked right downtown in El Paso, and I had a great time. And the thing I liked about El Paso is one of the things about LA is people are so bougie. It's so, if everybody's about what you got, if you don't have a whole lot, if you don't have a big house or, it is what it is. And we got about 15 minutes left of the show, so I was going to go ahead and talk about what will get this video demonetized by YouTube. Is we did have 2 deputy sheriffs here Saturday night, one female officer that's the mother of a 6-year-old child, and another 24-year-old male officer, I believe, that some random yahoo walked up and shot them while they were sitting in their patrol car at point-blank range, and ended up shooting the female officer in the jaw and the shoulder, and shot the male officer in the arm. And there's pictures on the internet, video captures of them helping each other after they get out of the squad car. And it's pretty heartbreaking. It's pretty, the stuff that the cops have to deal with, there has been a history of having bad cops in LA. But the stuff that they have to deal with, I think that's what turns a lot of these cops into the bad cops that they are the characters that they continuously have to deal with on a daily basis. Because I know just from myself, spending time over in Florence Graham, where my old work was for a year, where my old office and studio was, that's one of the roughest areas in LA. Florence and Normandy is where the 92 riots broke out here in LA, or in LA. I'm in Orange County now, which Orange County is south of Los Angeles. I'm in Orange County, about 40 miles from where my work was. But I saw the writing on the wall. After the whole riots and everything and the defund the police, I had been over in that area in my Snap-on truck for a year and a half and never had any problems really with anybody messing with my truck. And after the defund the police thing, where I was parking over there by this park, I think it was called Roosevelt Park. I was parked right across the street from this park, and there was always sheriff's deputies over there because of the metro train. There was a metro station right there. So you always had all of this police presence. And then after the riots, we had the riots here in May. Within a couple of weeks after those riots, there was no police anywhere. So within a couple of weeks, you had graffiti tags all over the park. They'd just done this over $1 million renovation to that park, the city park. They put in this beautiful soccer field. They put in this AstroTurf play area for the kids. And they did all of this work on this park and painted all of the park buildings. And it was just so nice. And then within 2 weeks, they had graffitied all over it. It was just a mess. And so I saw the writing on the wall. And then with 2 weeks after that happening, or a month after that happened, I was still stuck over there. And I ended up having my gun pointed in 2 people's faces that was trying to break into my truck in the middle of the night. So I knew I had to get the hell out of there as soon as possible. And I'm so thankful to be out of there. But I hung in over there because of my office. I had my podcast studio in my office, and I didn't know where I was going to go after that. I didn't know how I would be, I didn't know if I'd be able to afford, because I wasn't paying for that place. It wasn't out of pocket. I was actually getting paid for my work, and I had that office there. So that part of it was great. But I don't miss it. I don't miss that place at all. I'm so glad to be out of there. I don't worry about my truck at night. I've got both of my trucks parked here. Random Nomads is what I miss. Amy Preston says, you are a target in a Snap-on truck because they think you are big stuff with those expensive tools. Please be careful. Yeah, I heard that continuously, Amy, when I first bought that truck. Like I said, I was in the worst part of LA for over a year and a half. And until this defund the police thing, I never had a problem. I never had anybody messing with my truck. I never had any problem. And like I said, there's no place in this country that's worse than Florence Graham. The Bronx, there's no place worse than Florence. It's one of the roughest, lowest income communities in the United States. But after the defund the police thing, then they did start thinking, they were going to break in and steal tools. Random Nomad. I remember you saying something about that in an older stream. Yeah. You know, I had a lot of people, you know, anytime I would post a picture of my truck on, that's why I stopped posting pictures of my truck on social media, my Snap-on truck, because I would post in like a Facebook group and there'd be 50 comments. Oh my God, you're going to get broken into. They're going to rob you. You're going to get robbed. You're going to get robbed. And I'd be like, dude, I've been living in this truck in the worst areas of the United States for a year and nobody's tried to rob me. Driving home, I still have a brother and sisters out there. I dread the thought of going back out there in Los Angeles. Yeah, I remember we talked about that at RTR, Lamont, driving home. Yeah, I'm ready to get out of here. I still love the weather. I walked out and went to Subway today, the Subway sandwich shop right here. It's right around the corner. And it's all dark in my office. There's no windows. And they keep this place so cold during the day, it's like a freaking freezer. And I get sleepy, but but you walk outside and it's 85 degrees and the sun's shining. It's just beautiful. Yeah, it's still hot out here. It's not 121 degrees hot though anymore, Random Nomad. But it's still warm. But it was beautiful. It's beautiful. But I wore a hoodie out today. I wore a hoodie over to the Subway, so it's not that hot. PDX Trailer Guy, what is going on, buddy? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. We got about 9 minutes left here, guys. So anyway, yeah, I am because of where LA is. Everybody's getting out of LA. People are leaving in droves, And I was just talking to my brother in Texas. I'm sorry, he's actually in eastern New Mexico, but might as well be Texas. It's right across the state line where my dad is. And we were talking about Austin and that Joe Rogan moved to Austin. And my brother's like, well, hell, he just moved back to California. Austin's just like California. And it is a lot like California. Austin is a whole lot like California, and it's because of all the freaking Californians that's moved there. And what I don't understand about Californians, this is what I don't understand about you Californians. Now, I'm a Texas guy. I moved out here. When I moved out here, I was very liberal-minded myself, but the liberals have pushed me into being way more conservative. But I don't really vote in these local elections. I never have tried to turn California into Texas. I have no illusions of grandeur of making California Texas. California is California. It is what it is. People are very liberal-minded here in the LA area. Now, if you get out of LA, if you go to like Bakersfield or even down to San Diego, even here in Orange County, it's way more Republican than people understand. Like if you go out to Bakersfield has been, you know, Bakersfield is not like this little tiny town that people think it is. Bakersfield is a pretty decent sized town. I think it's 200,000 or 300,000 people, and it's very Republican, and has been Republican for years and years. But when you get into these nucleus of these big major metropolitan cities like LA and San Francisco, they're as liberal as it gets. They are super, super liberal. You'll meet probably one conservative out of 100, maybe 100, or maybe even less than that, maybe 500 to 1,000. One conservative to 500 to 1,000 people you meet is going to be super uber liberal. It's I don't know. It's not really the desert. It's a more of a desert climate, but LA is the desert. People don't understand that. LA is the desert. Yeah, Portland, Seattle, they're very liberal-minded cities. But what I don't understand about the Californians in general, like all of these Californians that have moved to Austin, well, they've left California for a reason. Okay, why did you leave California? Oh, because you couldn't afford it anymore? Because the housing prices and the taxes and all of this stuff? Well, my question is why are you moving to Texas, trying to turn Texas into California where you just left? That absolutely makes absolutely no sense at all. And that's why people in Oregon, that's why people in Washington, even Washington and Oregon, but really in Idaho, Nevada, Texas, big time in Texas, Arizona. That's why all of these residents of these states hate Californians with a passion and are sick and tired of Californians moving to their area. If you're a Californian and you move to a conservative area because it's cheaper and there's lower taxes and stuff, there's a reason it's like that. Don't you get it? It's common sense. You're moving to a red area. You're not getting these Californians flooding out of California going to Seattle or going to Portland or going to these other big-time Democratic cities. They're going to Arizona. They're going to Phoenix. They're going to Dallas. They're going to these red cities that are low taxes and run by Republicans. So it just doesn't make sense to me why in the world you would move somewhere and then vote and try to make it exactly what you just had to run away from because you couldn't afford it anymore. Stop it. Random Nomad says, I don't like them here in Minnesota. People don't like Californians anywhere, and Californians don't even understand this. Californians have this mentality that they think the entire country looks to them, that they're the nucleus of the United States. They have the superiority complex. They literally think they are the grandest people in the world, especially in the United States. They think everybody what California thinks is what everybody in the United States is going to think in the next year or two. They don't understand right now at this time that California is probably the most disliked state in the United States. And people don't want to hear anything Californians have to say. Phoenix is kind of turning Democrat. Yeah, it's because there's so many Democrats flooding out of California, moving into these red states, moving into these red cities. And they ruin everything wherever they go. They screw it up. Austin is a perfect example. The only city in Texas that has a huge homeless problem right now with people living in tents like Los Angeles is Austin. There's no tents in Dallas. You don't see any tents in Dallas. Dallas is way bigger than Austin. You don't see any tents in Houston. Houston's bigger than Dallas. There's no tent cities. You go downtown in Austin, there's tent cities, just like LA. Here's the perfect thing. Here's the perfect example. So here in California, if you go to a Walmart, let's say you go to a Walmart, for those of you that don't know, if you go to a Walmart and you buy some groceries and you're leaving the store, when you get ready to pay for those groceries, they will ask you, would you like bags? The reason they're asking you if you want a bag is because you have to pay for the damn thing. They're 10 cents a piece. So you buy 4 bags, you're going to spend 40 cents to buy 4 bags for your groceries. If you have to get 10 bags, you're going to pay $1, right? So that's the reason, is because you have to pay for your bags. Well, when I was in Austin a couple of years ago, Austin proper, at a Walmart, I get ready to leave and I'm paying for my stuff, and the girl asked me, she goes, do you want a bag? And I'd just been a week in Dallas. So it took me aback for a minute, because you don't hear that unless you're in California. I'm like, do I want a bag? Yeah, I want a bag. What am I, in California? I got to pay for your bag? And she goes, yes, sir, they're 10 cents a piece. You have got to be me. You have got to pay for your bags here in Austin just like California? She goes, yeah. I guess it's because of the environment. I said, do you know why in California they passed this plastic bag law where you have to pay for your grocery bags? She's like, no, I guess the environment. I said, because California, especially Los Angeles, and California borders the ocean. So when you buy a bag, a lot of those bags end up in the ocean. So they're trying to cut down on so many bags being sold so they don't end up in the ocean. Where's the nearest ocean to Austin? It's not even close. But that's what Californians have done. They've left California, they've went out to Austin, and they've implemented a 10-cent bag law that they love here in Los Angeles. They've implemented this 10-cent bag law in Austin because they think they are saving the environment by making you pay 10 cents extra for bags. That's California's problem. They want government to take care of everything, and they want government to charge you for everything. If California could charge you to breathe, if they could tax you to breathe, they would tax you to breathe. If they could tax you per year on how many breaths you take, they would do it. Believe me, they're probably trying to figure it out. I guarantee you they're trying to figure it out. Yeah, Random Nomad says, Cali, the only place to buy weed legal, but straws are not. Yeah. St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Minneapolis has them too. Phoenix is kind of, yeah, I agree. A lot of the major cities are very liberal minded. And when it comes to like the art community and stuff like that, I dig it. I understand it. But when you start asking government to do everything and be your savior, that's where you lose me. You know, that's the whole, Bernie Sanders, the whole socialist. They want the government to take all the money and spread it around. And, you know, that's just Big Brother doing everything. You know what I mean? And it's so funny to me, the socialists are calling out libertarians, like libertarians are supposed to be on the socialist side. Socialists, let me explain something to you, socialists. You're asking for government to step in and do everything, to take people's money away. If I make this amount of money and this other person doesn't want to work, well, you're going to take my money away to make sure that person has money. That's not the libertarian way. Libertarians want smaller government. Every time I hear they're cutting the EPA or they're cutting funding for Planned Parenthood or any of that stuff, I celebrate. I'm like, oh yeah, get rid of government. Get government out of everything. Just like Random Nomad says, Cali, weed is legal. As far as I'm concerned, weed should be legal everywhere. I don't smoke weed. It's not my thing. But if you're a grown-ass adult and you want to smoke weed, that's your business. Do what you want to do. It should not be in the government's control to be able to tell you what you can do. When you get into really, really hard narcotics like, meth and, heroin and those kind of things, I'm on the wall. I'm on the fence about those things. My thing is people are going to do it. And the more you tell them you can't do it, the more they're going to seek it out to do it, especially when you're telling kids. That's why so many kids are into drugs at such young ages, because everybody's telling them, don't do drugs, don't do it. So that's the first thing they're going to do is find out what's the big don't do it and do it. We were all kids. It's exactly how that works. When you got parents yelling, don't drink, don't do drugs, don't smoke, that's the first thing teenagers do. It's the first thing they start looking into. All right, guys, I got really big up on my soapbox there, didn't I? We just hit an hour, trying to keep these things like right at an hour. We got 12 views. We got 7 likes. If you enjoyed the show today, guys, please be sure to hit that like button. Give me a thumbs up. Badge, if you're still in the room, I'm still working on I want to get some guests on the show via either Skype or Zoom. But until I can get this thing ironed out for myself, where I'm not having technical difficulties myself, where I feel comfortable adding in that other element, I'm getting close. But the sound kicks me in the butt, as many of you that watch the show know. But I'm getting there. And I'm going to reach out. So, Badge, if you're still in the room, if you would email me just email me at ravholly@gmail.com and let me know where to get a hold of you, buddy. I have one of your stickers. You gave me a card, but I don't know where your card is, and I need like an email address or something. I guess I could probably find it on your YouTube channel. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. I had a comment, somebody saying that the show was boring, so hopefully it wasn't boring today. I got a comment saying, what did the comment say? It said, just shut up already and sell what you're selling, because your show's boring. Hopefully it wasn't boring today. But if it was, oh well. All right, Trav, man, great to see you, buddy. Thanks so much for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. Random Nomad also sent me a $10 donation. That guy donates every single time I have the podcast. Thank you, Trav, man, Random Nomad. Thank you guys so much. Matilda, she's a Patreon of mine. Amy Preston, love and blessings to you. One of my all-time, always watching the podcast. I super appreciate you guys. My loyal viewers. PDX Trailer Guy, so good to see you back in here. I've seen a few faces I haven't seen in a while. So nice to see you guys. Badge, always a pleasure to have you back in, buddy. I haven't put a studio in my truck yet, Badge. No, haven't done it. I've got a TV and I've got a little bit of stuff in there, but I've said before, I have my Harley Davidson in there right now, so I can't even hardly turn around in there. Driving Home Lamont, always a pleasure to have you in, buddy. Joel P. Good to see you, my man. I think that's about everybody. All right. Anyway, guys, we will see you back here. Hopefully all of you or some of you. We will see you back here on Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Thank you for listening to the American Nomad Podcast. Until next time, keep looking up because that's where it all is.